Hey everybody, and welcome to the House of Holocrons, episode 33. This one, of course, we will be diving into the finale two-parter of Bad Batch and the most recent episode, episode 5 of The Mandalorian Season 3. Of course, The Mandalorian will be the later half of this, as there will be, I won't say more to talk about, but definitely more speculation and theory. Whereas in this one, it's kind of, we have a lot of questions from the finale of the Bad Batch, but it at least does just kind of set up like, hey guys, guess what? There's going to probably be season 3. More than likely, we're getting season 3. So
Yeah.
at least there's that. That was the major thing answered. It will be another part. Before we get too crazy heavily into it, though, see, I don't think there was anything else too crazy new in the Star Wars verse other than like, I'm trying to think if there's.
Not anything outside these episodes. I
Yeah,
can't think
just
of
comic
anything.
drops. Just some comic drops. Nothing too crazy
Yeah.
in news, but
I mean,
really,
we're getting close to Star Wars Celebration, so
yes, very true.
they're probably going to be keeping a lot of it close to chest for that.
Oh yeah, so because celebrations is usually like the biggest time for them to drop a
Yeah,
lot of that stuff.
it's like the Star Wars version of E3 or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, but a lot of news is, of course, coming from the shows as we are getting a lot of things finally figured out. Bad Batch, we have the two-part episodes. I do not remember what the second to last episode was called, but
so we get the two finale episodes. The first one that is aired is called The Summit,
okay.
and the second one is Plan 99.
Yes.
And so the summit
okay.
It continues immediately after the last episode where Echo was essentially he brought the information. Well, he didn't bring it. They got that information off the ship, and he brought it there so that Tech could decipher it for him.
Yes.
Which he does, and they find out that Crosshair is captured currently on a secret facility with some other clone prisoners.
Yep.
So they
get a
decide
little bit of they get a little dirt on
rescue him.
Hemlock.
Yeah. So they said they want to rescue him, but they still don't know where this facility is located. So they find out that he is going to this big summit meeting that's hosted by Tarkin, which has a lot of cool little moments in that.
And it's Iriadu, right? That's his home planet.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Iriadu, first featured in the Tarkin novel. That's his own planet, yeah. Kind of weird that he built it. Also, not the best. If you want to have this like secret, this like top level government facility that you meet, that's not at the top of a mountain like a tower. It's not the best.
See, that's what I thought too. I was like, if it's a personal domicile, that is not flashy enough for his super old family home that's been on this planet for thousands of years. But also, I was like, it doesn't look militarily scary enough to be a super badass Grand Moff Tarkin base. So I was like, huh.
Well, we see it, and it is a Empire base. So I don't know if it got converted or what, but it's an Imperial base.
Just think of it as a very large conference room. That's all it's for. It's just for the conference room.
Yeah, but it's like if you're gonna have so many important people up there, it's so bad. At least build it into the mountain like normal bad villains, you know?
Yeah.
Don't make something so easy to get rid of.
Dude, that's how cocky Tarkin is.
But yeah, they plan to go to there to sneak in and plant a homing beacon on Hemlock Shuttle so they can track them back to their base. As they're leaving, we get Fee flirting with Tech again. This time, way more obvious.
Yes.
And
even he kind of has a moment where he kind of like catches up on his own words and can't speak.
Where he quickly hides behind his comm pad because he can't process the emotion properly.
Right.
So they and when I first saw the place, my first thought was, man, there's so many big leaders at this tower. You could just, if you blew it up, you get rid of a lot of major people. And sure enough, I wasn't the only person thinking that.
And here comes the gorilla in a china shop, who really, really enjoys to fuck everything up for everybody.
Well, there's some little drops before we get to that.
Not gonna say who yet. Not gonna say who yet.
I don't know if you noticed, by the way. I mean, the red paint gives it away, but Tarkin doesn't use any any clone troopers. Where like
Yeah.
Hemlock uses the clone commandos, he uses all stormtroopers.
Yep.
Specifically the red variant, which is the
Shock
whatever
trooper.
shock troopers. Yeah, thank you. Um. So yeah, so we get to the summit. We see some of the major players that are
Which
attending there.
was awesome to
There's
see. I think my favorite little person that dropped there, of course, was Krennic.
Well, we get three major ones.
Yeah.
Two of them aren't as obvious as the first one. First one is Barton Coburn. He
Hmm.
is. We first see him during the Clone Wars, the cartoon. He is an admiral that was actually sent a task force to help rescue Tarkin
Mm.
in the episode Citadel Rescue. So it makes sense why Tarkin has him so
Yeah.
close. The funny thing is during that episode Barton actually outranked Tarkin, which is funny because Tarkin was a captain during that episode, and Barton was an admiral. So that's kind of funny. Now that
Yeah.
Tarkin outranks him, guess it. Yeah, he was smart to get on the Senator's good side.
Oh yeah.
Well, now Emperor's good side.
Yes. Down the Emperor's good side.
The other one is Hurst Ramoti. We first see him actually. The first appearance we see him is in New Hope. He's at the conference table with the we first see Tarkin and all them. A New Hope.
Okay, talking about the Death Star and
Yeah,
Vader chokes a guy. Yeah, I remember that.
yeah.
Scene.
He's on the table there. He also is in Rogue One. He is the Imperial admiral that
Mhm.
was. He got orders from the journal that there was attack by insurgents on the beach, and then he tells Tarkin, which Tarkin tells him He's like, "Hey, we should use the Death Star to blow up the rebel fleet," and they're like, "No, Vader's gonna take care of that." And
Yeah.
then he's like, "Use it to blow up Scarif." And so yeah, he orders the Death Star to blow up Scarif. So he's known for that and some other stuff, but those are his major things. And then of course, Orson Krennic,
Yeah.
who's the main antagonist of Rogue One, and is in charge of building the Death Star. Who, you know, eventually.
If you
dies
read the
from it.
books too, there's two Rogue One novels. I know what is it, Cataclysm? Uh, the other one, there's one though that it really talks a lot about Tarkin versus Krennic, because Krennic pretty much was coming for
Yeah.
Tarkin as hard as he could, and of course in the end Tarkin takes over the Death Star plan from Krennic, which he just steals it right from underneath him, which is just the Imperial way. If you stand out too much, you kind of get hammered. But if you just subtle enough to weasel your way through, that's how like Tarkin did it. He just got on the Emperor's good side.
You don't want to shoot that high.
Yeah.
Going after Tarkin's a bad idea. He has too much power.
Yep.
He has more power than Vader does, which most people don't understand. How he technically, in a way, outranks Vader because he can. Well, you see that, I believe, in New Hope, where he orders Vader to do something, and Vader fortunately has to listen to him. Which I mean is smart. I mean, Anakin, especially even then at that point, is still pretty unstable.
Yeah. And yeah, because that's the thing. It's like it's one of those things where it's like Tarkin and Vader respect each other out of a weird animosity towards one another. They hate each other. He hates that he hates Tarkin hates the Force and this Jedi stuff and lightsabers, and Vader hates Tarkin because he's a snobbish, non-Force using, upstart. So.
Yeah, in the novel, Tarkin says he knows that. He doesn't apparently never tells him, but he knows that Darth Vader's Anakin the whole time.
Yeah.
So he knows it's really him. It is smart that he's technically, he technically outranks Vader because, like I said, Vader is really good at fighting, but I don't think I would trust him with a fleet. I mean, he kind of has his own fleet, but I still wouldn't
Anakin's
trust
not a
him.
fleet guy. Anakin's he's a grab a group of people and throw them into the mess and get stuff done.
Tarkin's
He's a strike team.
basically head of the he's head of the military all around. So, anyways, so yeah, we get.
But yeah, so the whole time, Bad Batch are quiet.
Yeah.
They're doing this stealthy. They're not taking any crazy, unnecessary shots. They're doing this really slow, methodical thing. They've got the plan all set up. Boy, does that literally blow up in their face. Oh, gosh.
Well, don't forget, we also do get a couple mentions where they're sneaking in. It goes back and forth to the meeting, they're talking about budget stuff where Hemlock mentions cloning being important to the Emperor,
Yeah.
which is a reference to Rise of Skywalker. And then Hurst also ends up defending the clones. Because which makes sense because he was an admiral that works alongside the clones. He's the one who works alongside the clones the longest.
Mm-hmm.
Tarkin hates the clones, which kind of talks him off. And then they also mention Stardust, which is the project, the Death Star planet.
Yes, the Death Star.
But yeah,
That's the big one, and then like the doors close. It's kind of like the final little haha. Did you hear that?
they do their best quietly, though they do drop a ship with a crane, which I would argue that's not
Yeah.
very quiet. But they do, yeah, they go. He's like, text like, "Hey, we can't shut the stuff off because they'll notice it." And then all of a sudden, he's like, "There's a bunch of stuff, a bunch of cameras turned off."
Yeah, this whole floor is shut down. What the heck?
And then they find the bombs, which later, soon after, find Saw Gerrera.
I can't stand that guy. God, I hate him so much. He
Which,
causes more problems for the rebellion than he's ever fixed.
yeah, I can see why you hate him because next episode he eventually causes a lot of things to happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, once Saw Gerrera is caught and he finds out the Bad Batch aren't wanting to help him, he's like, "Well, I guess because they're gonna stop us, I guess we'll just blow up the bombs." And so he does, and they run out.
Yeah, they get away. They get away almost scot-free because they just run to a shuttle and take off, and no one stops them.
At the very end, they do try to stop them as they're leaving onto because they find out that they report that there's some some insurgents disguised as stormtroopers. So at the very end, they do get shot at.
But that's it. They still are able to get into a Lambda shuttle and take off with no one chasing them.
And I was worried that was the shuttle they needed to track, but it didn't matter anyways.
Nope, because that gets blowed up.
Yeah, so they blow up. Bad Batch quickly get back onto the tram that they got on with, and then it stops because the power's out.
Because Saw blew everything up.
That's how the Summit episode ends, and then we immediately go into the finale, which is Plan 99.
Yep, which are the boys and Omega fighting for their life on this stuck tram system, with literally the entirety of the Empire being thrown at them right now, because Tarkin has the access to everything. So there are soldiers that are just happen to be almost at that middle point, shooting at them from another rail car.
Well, soldiers on the same rail car.
Yeah, they had to eventually take them out, which they don't even do until a U-wing, or like the predecessor to the TIE Fighter, pretty much shows up, shoots the rail car, and it begins to collapse in on itself.
I don't know if you noticed that the pilots for these U-wings have all worn stormtrooper armor. They haven't gotten the pilot armor yet, which is very weird.
Huh, not even like painted all black yet. That's kind of cool. I wonder when that happens.
Yeah, it hasn't been in the budget at all. No, it's straight stormtrooper armor. Right. At least take your helmets off. I don't know how they're piloting.
Oh, yeah, it's got to be horrible.
You'd have to be a really good pilot to pilot those things without crashing.
Yeah.
But we find out as it gets shot and blows up, and part of it dangles, and we find out what Plan 99 means. Yeah, which essentially means
the whole time our good boy Tech has gone out and tried to get the thing running. So
yeah, but first I was like, how is he going to get back on the thing?
Yeah.
Especially when you first see it, there's electricity that runs along the line. Like, this is so dumb. I know he has to go, but there's no way he's going to be able to get back on the thing.
So they get it going, and they can apparently control the direction as well. And they just wait for him instead of backing up. That was the only problem I had, is why didn't they just back up?
But yeah, he tries to jump.
He makes it back to a almost completely destroyed. It's been like one run.
His grapple thing, and ends up dangling off the half-destroyed tram.
Where, of course, Wrecker and Omega come to save the day.
They take their sweet time doing that, by the way.
And sadly, they only make things worse. As the whole time Tech is telling them, you don't have time. You have to cut the link and let this cart go.
Or you could just put Wrecker back and try to get Omega to help pull him up.
Or
There's a lot less weight.
Or Wrecker could have used his grapple gun that he also had and have just like done it and shot Tech with it and pulled him up. Yeah. But for reasons, it doesn't happen. And like I called it, you can't be that happy in Star Wars unless your last name is Skywalker, and even then, you're not allowed to be that happy.
Well, we show why they focus so much. This it makes sense why they focus so much on Tech this
Yep.
season.
This is why
They
he
also
got
gave him
character development.
a
This is
love
why he got, yeah,
interest.
exactly.
Yeah.
I
But
know
yeah,
a lot of you are hurting, and I know a lot of you didn't want any of the boys to die, but Tech is dead. I don't think he survived that fall. They were above the atmosphere. They were like
so
above clouds or stratosphere or whatever that is. They
so
were way up there.
I want to cover. So he mentions, hey, he says Plan 99, which basically means
One of them sacrifices
clone
themselves.
sacrifices themselves for the rest of the clone group,
Yep.
which is named after Clone 99, who did this. He sacrificed himself for other clones. A lot of
Hmm.
things are named after him. Um, so Tech, the one of his final lines. Sorry. So this also fun thing about this is the Plan 99 is inverse of Order 66,
Hmm.
which is essentially ignore all individuality and follow orders blindly, even killing your brothers if necessary. To reinforce this, he even says at the end, as his last lines were, "When have we ever followed orders?"
Yeah,
Which
because Wrecker tried to
rein-
order him, did not do it, and yeah, that's when he goes, "When have we ever followed orders?"
which reinforces the fact that Plan 99 is the inverse of Order 66.
Yep. And he shoots the coupling and falls for an extremely, extremely far fall. Like real far. Like you don't survive that. Like I'm very sorry. Even
I
if you hit water, you die.
I have two theories based on that they could go on. One I found online.
Hmm.
We find out later that I think there is still a possibility because they kind of do this in cartoons where they do these extreme things that make no sense. I mean he's showed strong resilience before, so it is possible, but we'll get it later on how it's possible.
I feel
I'm
like
not surprised.
it would
This
diminish the story too much, and I think they need someone to die, and this was perfect.
Well,
I
these
liked it.
kind of shows they do this extreme like when Wrecker casually lifts large chest full of like packed full of gold,
Hmm.
or where Tech got his leg crushed and he's still able to hobble around on it and stuff. So, anyways, Omega has basically a meltdown,
Yep.
which understandable.
Understandable. They get out of
As
there,
she
but they are, of course, met
passes,
with. Yeah.
yeah, Omega passes out. We kind of
Well, yeah,
lose.
she passes out after
Yeah,
they crash because they are met with more stormtroopers, but the
yeah.
brakes don't work. So they go colliding through the end of the rail system. Firefight ensues to a degree. She is concussed. It's a fun shot. I like the way they shot those last scenes,
Yeah,
or
we
those
get a
with them
first
carrying
person
her
view.
out. Yeah,
Yeah.
and they're fighting all the way to the Marauder. Like they are. I was
And
honestly really surprised. More of them didn't like. I was expecting Hunter or Echo to get hit and die in this as well.
what's crazy too is they immediately say we got to take her to AZ, which begs the question: why AZ? They have so many people they can take her to,
Mm-hmm.
and AZ is still with Sid, so they have to go to Sid to get to AZ. Which why is AZ still with Sid?
Right.
And why do they have to go to AZ? Do they not have any doctors in the other plant they used to be
Or is the
on
genetic
Pabu? Or
markers? Yeah, is their genetic markers so crazy? You like obvious? They'd be like, oh my god, it's a clone.
it just felt like a really bad hook to get them back to
Mm.
Sid
But at the
because they
same
needed.
time,
Yeah,
things don't go any better. They're bandaged up, and Sid did exactly what the hell we knew she would do, and she's betrayed them,
yeah,
and
but
she's
yeah, but it
sold them out
wasn't
to the Empire. Uh,
obvious at all.
right. Echo notices the Empire is there from the Marauder and tries to warn the boys. It does not work. They Hunter gets Omega to try to leave, which of course she does not do.
Well, they capture the rest of them except for Echo and Omega,
Yeah,
who she uh,
but
decides to not run away and tries to save him. I don't know what she thinks she can do.
right. But before that, we
Um,
get back to your point where they kind of there's this trope where Hemlock has Tech's
yeah,
glasses, and
Tech's
they kind of
goggles with her
they
like
kind of
shattered.
he throws them to be like, well, there's what's left of him, pretty much. Which means and for one, even if he's not like he's dead, I'm just gonna say it now. I 100% think he's dead. Hemlock has the pieces of him to
Yeah,
get his
heck,
DNA.
Hemlock is not the type of person to
Waste it.
leave a clone like that,
Yeah.
especially a unique clone like Tech.
Yep, he has every scrap he could scrape off the rock.
So if I think that the fact that Hemlock had the goggles, it
Mm-hmm.
leaves a little chance that Hemlock recovered the battered body and has them covering or rebuilding or whatever just
Mm-hmm.
to experiment on them. It's something they would do, and they've done stuff like this in the past on these
Yeah.
type of shows. 'Cause, man, this is the Andor. This isn't like this isn't more. This is more cartoonish. They've done crazier in the Clone Wars. Heck,
Yeah.
Echo is an example of that.
True.
Um, but yeah, I mean, at this point, we can assume he's dead. Um,
Oh yeah.
and there's a reinforcing point to that, which I'll get to later after I've read some theories. I think is interesting.
Okay.
I don't think they're valid, but I think
Mm-hmm.
it's interesting concept. Um, so Omega, like, so doesn't run away. She ends up getting caught by Scorch. She
Yeah.
threatens him with her bow. Like, I don't
He
think.
just like knocks it out of their hand. Like, get out of here.
And then Echo, of course, being the smart one, waited for the moment, and he
Yeah.
rescues the others, and Omega gets captured. That's the whole what he wanted anyway, so it
Yeah.
didn't matter. He didn't care about the
Yeah.
others.
Hemlock doesn't even care after that point. He's just
Yeah.
like, cool. Let's leave. All right. Bye.
So we
Um.
basically nearly end the episode, not fully ended, but nearly end the
Yeah.
episode with the death of Tech. Crosshair and Omega are still captured by Hemlock.
Yep.
Where we go to the base where we
Okay.
find
A little bit before though. Yeah. So I guess not before, but yes. So we go to Mount. It's still Mount Tantus, right? That's what it
yeah,
is. We go to Mount Tantus, and Omega re-meets. I can't remember if we've ever said the other person's name.
it's the
The
scientist
doctor.
that
Yeah.
that uh
That
that
we all thought
Crosshair
and
didn't
is.
didn't kill.
Guess what? Totally Omega's sister and another fucking clone. What a surprise.
Well, the fact that she has the same accent as
Yeah.
Omega, I was like,
The
this is
glasses
so
like Tech.
obvious. Yeah, she's so obvious accent. She has this strong Australian accent, which seems so weird.
Mm-hmm.
The only other person that had the same accent. Yeah, and so I'm guessing she just had the growth, thing that the other clones did, because
Right.
Omega's unaltered. I don't know if you know that because she's the last clone. She's Omega, and Boba's supposed to be Alpha. So I don't
Yeah.
know if you knew that. Um, anyways, um, but yeah, she's a clone. So some of the theories are that I've read online is they think that she's going to be Tech's replacement in the future.
Oh.
I don't know if that's possible, but she's supposed to be just as smart as Tech, or smarter, and she's also technically could be a part of Clone 99 since she is an altered clone.
I could see
Or
that. If they like rescue her for whatever fucking reason. Um but yeah, and Tech's passed the hell out. He's not talking about anything. He's been tortured to the point where he can't even be awake right now.
I mean, Crosshair, yeah.
Yeah, Crosshair, you're right, you're right. Yes, Crosshair.
So Tex, of course, he's been tortured. He's dead.
Yeah, he was really tortured for a few milliseconds, and then um that's when it then goes over back to the boys, and then Hunter's just like, we will find her.
And then it
Oh,
ends.
no matter
God,
what, we will find her.
It's like, man, that's a shitty way to end it.
And all I'm thinking is, you have only ever seen all of those Republic commandos, especially Scorch. You have only ever seen that guy one place, Mount Tantus, when you went there to save Gregor. And you're gonna tell me none of them are able to. Hunter, Super Tracker can't go, we've seen that guy before. We've seen that one unique Republic commando.
I think they're just so. I think well, technically they've never been there, but they. I think they just got so much on their mind because Omega getting captured,
Mm-hmm.
and the loss of Tech, and and even you bring up Crosshair, possibly he could be back. So there's just so many. It's like a roller coaster of emotions. If
Yeah.
anything, the show didn't show that enough. How much is hit them so quickly?
It's shell shocking for sure, and I'm surprised Omega's not far more mentally unstable right now.
And in case you weren't sure if Saul was a good guy or not,
I hate Saw Gerrera.
I think he's an awesome character for Star Wars.
Oh yeah,
But
it's one of those like I love to hate him. Like he's not a horrible. Like I don't hate the character. I hate Saw Gerrera, the human in the Star Wars universe. I just want to punch him in the face. He ruins so much.
we end season 2, and they leave so much unanswered, so there has to be a third season.
And yeah, Hunter literally looking in the screen, being like, "We will find Omega." It's like,
And
okay, well, yeah, there's the third season.
if they don't go after, they don't get the new season, I'm going after the new Disney CEO, because he's talking. It was mentions that he may cancel some of these shows. So if he does, I'm gonna go after them.
Yeah, don't be canceling this. Shut up. Yeah, here.
You can't end it like this.
You cannot end it like that. You cannot end that badly. But if I mean, oh my God, is that like that would be the worst ending in Star Wars? It's just like nope, nobody. It's all bad.
I will say the common movie film trope in general is if you don't see someone die on screen, there's a chance they could still be alive. So
it's very true in Star Wars.
Yeah. Well, it's in a lot of things. So there's still a chance he could be alive. It could be,
That's why they haven't shown the 42 ways they filmed Shaak Ti die, just in case.
it could put him in. And that's also how they like did some of the Jedi. Like, you didn't see them necessarily die, so they could be alive during.
Yeah, Keller and Beck. Keller and Beck could be alive.
They you got me way off track with that one. But yeah, it was a good. It was still a good show. I felt like the ending was rushed too quickly. I feel like they tried to build stuff up, but they kind of went off kind of course. But that's kind of like these kind of show because it's more serialized, where it's like a different thing every episode. It's like they do that and they don't do that. It's so weird.
Yeah.
It's confusing because they kind of try to do the whole Clone Wars thing where it's like a different thing every episode, and then and try to have this whole overarching story. But since you don't have as many episodes in a season as Clone Wars, it feels very rushed when they try to do a cohesive story like this. And these last 2 episodes were very rushed.
I didn't mind. I feel like the rush though was to show like the craziness that was. Like, it's like one of those shows like this entire show takes place in the next 2 hours.
Yeah,
because everything's nuts. But it was definitely like an end. At least I was like, oh shit. It was one of the few times when you watch. I won't say the few times. We've had a lot of good episodes here lately, but again, I watched the Bad Batch before Mando, and I was like, wow, okay, that was a hell of a way to end that. Damn. Like I'm excited for season 3. I'm excited to see what happens.
I think it's a big movie sin or film sin to end on so many major, which is a big thing on these series. Cliffhangers like this. I get it, but yeah, it's like they want you to try to watch more, but it's like it's so overdone. By the time the next show comes out, people have moved on and kind of almost forgotten what happened to begin with.
Yeah, that's pretty true.
That's one good thing that Andor did. Not the heart more on Andor is that they didn't really they closed a lot of they left just enough little cliffhanger enough to say, hey, we're gonna make another season, but they kind of ended a lot of things. A lot of the finale came to an end.
True, very true,
and it felt like a real finale.
Yes,
honestly, and then how they ended it. If they didn't have a season 2, I would be upset because I love the show.
Yeah, you're upset because there's no more Andor, not upset because the story.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be upset because there's so many loose ends.
Right.
We could end the season and know, because we've seen Rogue One, we could estimate what happened in between. So yeah. I think that's the proper way to do it. I think the show, there's many of series that do this where they leave so many major cliffhangers. I think it's very
well, then at least with nothing else, we can guarantee to probably get the next season next year, if not like December this year, just because these animated series they have a easier rate of turnaround because it's just people working on them. There's no filming, there's just voice lines and stuff, which is still a lot. It's a lot of work. I'm not taking that away from anyone, but it's not filming on location. It's not constantly traveling. It's just
it's a different type of work.
It's an entirely different one. Yeah. It's different, but the same monster.
And possibly quicker with all the new AI stuff they're coming out
Yeah,
with.
right.
They've already shown they can do AI
Background
animation,
characters and yep,
or
music, all the
animation in
stuff.
general,
Yeah,
and which is scary thought for the people that do those kind of jobs. So.
right. So then we will now move on to the Mandalorian.
Yeah, this is
Another.
a very,
I love the Mandalorian so much, so much.
very impactful episode. Definitely not a filler episode for sure. The beginning, in a way, kind of is a filler part, but it's
Meh.
good. Um, which is kind of like, it feels like that's the theme of this season now. Is like we get some background stuff going on. That's like
Yeah.
random stuff, and then go back to the Mandalorian stuff.
Yep.
It's like we all want the Mandalorian stuff, but the background stuff hasn't actually been too bad.
Dude,
Like we
as
got with
I've said,
Coruscant.
the
Now we got
Mandalorian, the Mandalorian is 100% the vehicle of which they deliver things to the Star Wars audience.
it's some of it too. Kind of feels like this season that they've mixed in like other shows in it.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Coruscant episode felt like they mixed a little Andor. This one almost feels like they mixed in a little like the Clone Wars or something with the pirates.
Yeah.
But yeah, we get the pirates come back to Navarro on this,
and they
episode.
are not taking anyone for granted right now. They are full-fledged, just firing on the city. Like, he talks to Grief. Grief's like, psh, I'm not going to bow to you. And
as somebody's done
the New Republic.
several histories on historical pirates, that is the dumbest thing you can do, by the way, as a pirate, because that is something that's the source of money. To blow up a city like that,
yeah,
they could have easily captured the city. The city itself didn't have any force to fight them off, which shown easily. That's the dumbest pirate thing you could do.
But yeah, the pirate king Gorham Shard is going to destroy Navarro and turn it into his pirate kingdom.
But you know that's what the name of the episode is, by the way.
The pirate, yeah. So Grief Karga sends out a distress signal to the New Republic after Goran doesn't care at all that he's backed by the New Republic, which he wasn't.
Yeah, he
that was a
threatens
bluff.
that he was. He says, "No, you guys are independent." Because the Republic, plus the Republic's been struggling with the Pirate Nation for a while. Which you find out there's a thing called the Pirate Nation, which is dope. I hope we hear more about the Pirate Nation.
I think that's going to happen in Skeleton Crew.
Either that or in a novel. I think a novel about the Pirate Nation would be pretty cool too.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
But yeah, we go to the bar that has so many drops in it, where they're playing some awesome jizz music. By the way, jizz is the Star Wars song. It's the music genre.
It's literally the genre of music, right?
But yeah, they're
psychedelic music plays.
New Republic bar. Before we get to the major drop, we get 3 familiar faces.
Well, and a hat.
One didn't even take his hat off. He probably just stepped right off the director chair. It's like, hey, I'll just...
You rarely see his face. You just see the hat and you're like, okay, oh, there's Dave. Oh, there's Deborah Chow.
And Rick Famuyiwa, I think I'm saying his name. And they each have their own respective characters in Star Wars already, where they are Republic pilots.
Yep.
I don't remember all their names. Of course, Dave Filoni's a classic Trapper Wolf.
Yeah, Trapper Wolf. It's also just a cool one.
Well, that wolf symbol has always been like his trademark, and so he added it in the Clone Wars
with the Wolf Pack, and then the Lothal Wolves and Rebels,
and then adds it to his helmet.
Yep.
And his character. And then fun fact before we move on to the big one, we get return of the pilot from previous season, which is Paul Sun Hyung Lee.
Yeah.
Love
his character. Love his character.
I really liked him when I watched the can't remember the convenience store show. It's a fun show. He is a really good actor on there. The fun fact, in a recent interview, he talked about how he got picked to play that role. He actually had his own costume, and he bragged about on I think it was a convention or in a thing that he had, or in an interview, that he had a cosplay that was good enough to be a character on a Star Wars movie. And
Yeah,
so that's how they picked him. They saw that, and Dave Filoni saw him and do that, and he picked him to play that character.
that's awesome. Yeah, Star Wars fans and Star Wars is always just better.
Yeah, I saw him in like this interview, and he had the room like more decked out than yours.
Hell
He's
yeah.
a huge Star Wars fan. I didn't know that. I was surprised. That's awesome.
Oh, dude, I can't imagine the joy he feels whenever he's on set. I would lose my mind.
But after all those, I'll let you announce the next
Yeah,
character we see.
we hear a voice kind of coming in from off screen, which
A
immediately
familiar voice.
my ears perked up immediately. We hear
Same voice actor.
we hear Steve Bloom as Zeb Aurelius walks on screen sporting this very nice blue squadron fighter pilot outfit. Leans up next to our boy after he's listening to the distress signal from Grief Karga. Talks about, oh, Navarro. I thought that place would be really nice. Guess not. And just, be absolutely right on step. Like, you immediately know, oh my god, that's Zeb.
Yeah. Zeb, if you don't know, was from, because many people haven't watched Star Wars Rebels. He was a part of the
Huge
crew from the crew from Star Wars Rebels.
Major character.
He's essentially their version of a Wookiee. Where
he's based off of Ralph McQuarrie's.
His original design is based off Chewbacca's, Ralph McQuarrie's design. Yep. He's really similar background, but he can actually speak basic. The same background where he's from this like planet where they got destroyed by the Empire and killed all his people.
Yep.
And so he's one of the last of his kind. So that's one reason I'm reinforced it is Zeb, in case you didn't see the voice actor or read the credits, because I didn't read the credits, he did. And then Star Wars put it on their stuff saying, hey, it's Zeb. So yeah, we get Zeb. Not very long.
Not very long, but if nothing else, if they are going to deliver anything, I am down for Zeb to get get Cara Dune. All right, throw her out. She's gone. Rangers of the Frontier. Zeb Aurelius.
That's what a lot of people are trying to say is, trying to get him.
You just set it up. You have the perfect base for them to come out of now. You have this awesome little Vietnam-themed New Republic air base. Perfect area for Rangers of the Frontier.
I wouldn't. I know he's probably a little old for this, but I'd still love to see Paul Hyung Lee a part of this team as well.
100%.
I like him as an actor. I loved him in the show, and I think he's a fun character.
Yeah.
I mean, he is one of the smartest characters in all of Star Wars. Actually, the smartest character in all of Star Wars. I wrote that so many times in my notes because he's the only person in the entire universe put 2 and 2 together that I even put 2 and 2 together.
He's the best at looking at someone and going, hey, wait a minute, no one else sees this?
Hey, was it Empire previously on this planet and now pirates are taking over this planet? And there's been spots of Empire in the area? Are they working together? Hey, I'm gonna go immediately to the top.
Yeah, didn't Moff Gideon just disappear all of a sudden and wasn't even transported for his court date? Weird. It was in this sector kinda, wasn't it?
And then he's like, you know what? He asks Zeb, and Zeb's like, don't worry about it. And he's like immediately goes to the top on Coruscant.
Yeah, but I love it because Zeb's like, hey, Zeb's like, good luck, you're gonna need it.
And he's like, dude, do you not see this? How obvious this is? I'm like, he's literally the first person in almost history of any show to put like the stuff that we see as like it's like he was watching The Mandalorian the same time we were. He's like, I have a fan theory that the pirates and the Empire are working together. I'm like, oh my god, he is now my favorite character. He's now the smartest character.
And of course, he's talking to this lieutenant or captain or something, requisitions. He's talking to requisitions officer about trying to get the permission to just take his squad and see what the hell's going on. And which of course it doesn't happen.
Knock, knock, knock on the side of the door frame. She cuts in. Hey, can I get you anything? Oh, are you talking about something important? Let me weasel my way in.
Yeah.
We talking about the Empire? We talking about possibly a planet that I used to operate on?
Well, she's immediately like, oh yeah, I used to be there. It's nothing. Don't worry about it. Nothing. And he looks over at her and he goes, are we really about to believe this Imperial chick? Are we really about to believe her?
He literally looks straight at her badge and he's like, it's on the outer rim. We can barely handle the Midlands. Don't worry about it. It's not. It's such a small town.
Right, and he's
They're not
like,
even part of the Republic.
why are you listening to the ex-Imperial?
I just imagine him wanting to strangle her at that moment.
Well, he gets under her skin
Yeah.
good because she keeps talking, and he's like, wow, that's mighty Imperial of you to just let all these people die.
And not only does he do something smart by putting two and two together, when the bureaucratic crap fails him, he immediately goes to the group of Mandalorians.
Yes, he's immediately like, all right, I'm done. Whatever.
It's literally like he's watching the show along with us, and he like crosses the fourth wall and steps into the show. It's like, I'm gonna put these two things together. You guys suck. I'm gonna go the Mandalorians.
I got a tracker on one of their ships because I know Bo really well.
It's so funny that he immediately, it's his first thought is like, well, this ain't working out. I'm gonna help these guys out because I'm an asshole. Like,
so maybe I think I should just do a whole video now about how that character is like the best character in Star Wars currently when it comes to being able to actually like get things done, process information, understand coincidences.
I don't think we've ever seen anyone figure things out like that. I mean, heck, not many people figured out the Emperor. I mean, there's so many things like the Clone Wars or other things that were so obvious right in their faces. They didn't just put two and two together.
Right. This guy was probably back there like, I don't like that Sheev Palpatine guy.
He literally skipped so many steps. He's like, you know what?
Whatever, bye.
The funny thing is, I didn't even consider it right away that they could be working together. And it's like, are you kidding me? It's like, you know what? He's right.
Right, because the Remnant has to be getting funds and people somehow. But
it's like I'm watching somebody's podcast on YouTube talking about theories. You know, those pirate guys, they must be working for Gideon. They work in the same area, and you know, he never showed up to his court date.
Right.
And
but so yeah, he shows up at the covert to enlist the help of the Mandalorians.
I can't believe he made it so far.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was like, how is he walking up?
Yeah, Paz Vizsla just shows up though, and he's just like, "Get out of here, Blue." So apparently, we now know New Republics are called Blues by Mandalorians. It's some like derogatory term.
Speaking of the guy dressed in all blue, by the way.
Yeah, speaking to the blue guy. Din finally comes out. He's like, "Hey, don't shoot this guy or be mean to him. He owes me. I owe him. Like, we're friends."
He didn't track Bo, by the way.
It was Din?
No, he checked R5.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, you're right.
He said I checked the old old Rebel veteran that's a part of your crew, and
then R5.
Like, him, R5.
Thanks, R5. And I'm sure Din immediately goes, "Okay, I hate droids a little bit more again."
I was waiting for Paz to just shoot him right there.
Blam! R5, come on, man. That's why it's Echo.
Yeah, but
this droid has pushed some plot.
So yeah, droid still, he still doesn't compare.
Yeah.
I can't remember his character. I gotta look it up later. But yeah, he gives them the message and leaves because that's smart. He don't want to be around. They're gonna kill him.
And even he tells them like, I know you guys are probably gonna relocate, but you don't have to. I'm not gonna tell anyone. I'm not here to cause any problems.
I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go back and finish watching this show.
Yeah, I gotta see what you guys do next. This looks really cool. You guys, hey, you look great.
I swear to God, this is literally like somebody that's been watching the show and has the ability to jump in the show because he jumps in. It's like, hey, I'm gonna push this plot forward that the writers aren't gonna do because they can't tell as good a story as I can. Because literally, he has no real connection to the Mandalorians. The only time he bumped into Din later, but it's like, oh yeah, I have a tracker on R5, so
right. No, I loved it. It was awesome. He's definitely becoming one of my favorites.
They gotta put a background either in the show or the book where they have his character and that's what the droid he has.
Yeah.
So now that he has a connection to the droid.
So that was awesome though. Yes, I loved all of that. His character, if he does any more plot development, I am going to 100% vote that he's the best character ever. Like.
So anyways, so the Mandalorians go back inside to discuss what is brought to them.
And we have a really awesome scene where we get to see how Mandalorian culture decides upon big jobs or big missions. Where Din, holding the hammer from the armorer.
The armorer's hammer,
yeah, it's the talking stick pretty much.
Yeah,
gives
I kind of
everyone
laughed at first, but I was like, yeah, it's okay. It makes sense.
right, gives everyone the idea of how this could happen. Now, also, he talks about how Grief had already mentioned a tract of land that he could give them, and how this means that the Mandalorians could no longer have to hide in a covert and could actually own their own land on Navarro and have a home so their children can play in the sun. Lovely. And so then they sit down. Armor is like, if
Yeah,
anyone else wants to speak. And of course, Paz is like, I will.
like
And
this is
everyone,
like,
I'm sure everyone watching the show went, oh, God damn it.
yeah, he's like, this is so risky, it's so dangerous. Why would we ever sacrifice ourselves? We've lost. This guy's attacked us before.
Yep.
Why would we ever go in and fight for something like this?
Outnumbered and
He goes, why would we? He goes, because we're Mandalorians. It's
we're
like, oh shit,
Mandalorians. And just,
oh
he's like,
shit.
this man fought for my son. Bo didn't give up when the rest of us did for my son. And we could have a home, an actual home. I support this plan. And I think every single person was like, I like Paz Vizsla again. Why do these Vizslas randomly show up and you're like, oh, I don't like that guy. Okay, I like that
Almost
guy.
as if his voice actor is, you know, big deal or anything.
Not his
You
voice
know,
actor anymore.
it's not. I
And
thought
it's
it
not his
still
voice.
was.
No. I saw, unless they're not saying, unless they mean the guy in the suit. There's a different
No,
name.
he's not the guy in the suit, of course. I'm
No,
pretty
yeah,
sure it
but
was the guy in the suit.
there was a different name for Paz Vizsla in the credits.
I still think it is him because, but it's easy to change his voice
Yeah.
through a voice filter.
Right. But anyway, yes, Paz is 100% now best buddies with Din and Bo. The Creed is stronger, and they are going to go to Navarro, and they are going.
Was with Bo. I
Yeah.
think he doesn't like her anymore. He gave her the stink eye after what happened later on, but yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll be different, but we'll talk about that more later. Um, they begin to plan this assault. They're going to go to Navarro, though. They're going to take on these pirates. And this is when we get to see a lot of the awesome scenes they're going to start playing that we saw from the trailer. And
Yeah.
oh my gosh, this was so good.
The assault.
The assault on Navarro.
So many awesome alien races, by the way.
Yes.
Don't overshadow that. All the pirates
yes.
are so many awesome alien races.
Ugnaughts and Nikto. We have those dog Clatoonians.
You see a really awesome ground assault. That actually quite a bit was pretty smart. There's a couple that did some stupid, but the rest of them are pretty smart.
Yeah. And they show up and just dropping people. It was awesome.
And if in case you're wondering how those two ships were able to take out that cruiser, the larger ships are hard. So
Maneuvering.
fighters are so strong that they're always needed because they can outmaneuver the larger ships. So without having smaller ships to support your fleet, you can just have these fighters circling your large cruiser, and their their weapons can't keep up because they're meant to destroy larger targets because they're like big monstrous tank things.
Yeah.
So they're
and
large
it's a great plan. They devised an amazing plan where Din goes in first with the N1, gets the Corsair, the large ship, get the Corsair attention, and it begins to follow them off from the city. Bo comes in, drops the ground assault, and joins Din to destroy the fighters that the Corsair sent out to try and take down Din.
And then he drives, and then their fighters come out and start going after Din, who leaves.
Yep.
And then she attacks the ship. It's like they trade back and forth. They drive their tension.
Which is a hilarious scene where the head Nikto that we saw from the last few episodes is like, he's above you, blows up. He's below you, blows up. He's on your left, blows up. He's on your right, blows up.
He's like, I'm out of here.
Yep, bye.
He just leaves. But yeah, I mean, they're so ambitious.
Salad the Hutt gets owned. His ship is getting destroyed.
I like the pirates. I don't really care for his design too much.
Yeah, Goran Shard. They could have made him look like maybe a little bit more Swamp Thing and a little less Pizza the Hutt.
The ship is awesome. I love the ship design. I love how there's so many like hints of separatists, of Republic, like in all the ship structure stuff. I love all the different alien species. I'd love to see more of them in the future. I hope we do.
Again, hopefully, we see more of these pirates and Skeleton Crew or another show. Rangers of the Frontier, whatever.
On the ground, and then they pull out an E-web and they start blasting everybody with their machine gun until the armor just shows up out of nowhere. It's like, oh yeah, I'm
Starts
here
poning
too.
people. But right
Just
before
starts
that,
owning.
right before that, we had a great scene with Paz where they were held down in a spot, and then Paz just shows up, lands heavy, and just uses his big old cannon and just start taking out people. They make it on the courtyard. The E-web cannon takes down a few Mandos. Armor takes down the E-web cannon and everyone up there, and then they retake Navarro. And it is a beautiful scene because Grief Karga gathers with all the people. They are joyous. They're looking at the Mandos and they're happy. They're like
Yeah,
proud. The Mandalorians are heroes again, and that's gonna mean something to these people, to the both the Navarroans and to the Mandos. And they give them a huge piece of
yeah.
land
He's
in
like,
the
he's like,
lava flats.
I'm gonna grant you this land near the lava flats in the canyon, and I'm like, my first thought is like, she should just turn to him and say, no, we're taking the town.
This
We're taking everything.
is
What are
our
you gonna
planet
do?
now.
What are you gonna do? You know?
Yeah.
But she doesn't. She could easily have taken the whole planet if she
Right.
wanted to.
But it's awesome because now they have a home where they're going to be able to
It,
redo a lot. But the armorer then immediately goes, nah, we're retaking Mandalore. Bo,
yeah,
I got to talk to you real quick.
yeah, and a very controversial thing, which it makes sense, and it shows why they focus so much on Bo in this
Mm-hmm.
season, is because they want a character that they can see face act because they still hate the idea of somebody taking their helmet off, and Bo's
Mm-hmm.
able to play
As the
almost
armorer puts it, live in
secondary.
both worlds.
So basically, we're either gonna get another spin-off with Boba Fett, like not with, but like the
Mm-hmm.
Boba Fett, or we're going to get just back and forth in the next season or
Because,
the rest of the
again,
season.
don't forget the show is called The Mandalorian, not Din Djarin.
I still think that in the end, but yeah, I don't want to get into speculation. I still think Grogu's in the end up being the
The
one in the
Mandalorian,
end.
yeah, maybe. But in this scene, though, we get the armor literally telling. They go down to the old forge in the sewers of Navarro, and the armor tells Bo, "Take your helmet off." She's like, "Whoa, that's not how we do
So,
this. If
yeah,
you
she's like,
trust me,
you pranking me.
and yeah, if you trust me and respect my station, take off your helmet."
Yeah, she
So and
said
yeah, the
that.
Bo's like, "Oh my God, are you like kicking me out? What is going on?"
She's
She
like,
does
I
it,
almost, yeah, I'm
and the
so
armor
surprised.
is like, "You saw a mythosaur. I thought they were only legends." So like the armorer did actually listen to her, was shaken by what she heard, and is
Yeah.
really taking it to heart now. This is where she devised the plan that Bo, you will lead us and combine and
Mhm.
bring back all of the Mandalorians by removing your helmet, but following the creed. Everything but that one thing.
Yeah, this was something that was necessary for it to happen. Din lacks the ability. He's too far
Yes.
part of the cult to be able to do that. Plus, he's not a leader for
No,
that. He's
exactly. I love the
if
idea of Din, but honestly, even though he is just only the reluctant leader, this makes so much more sense because Bo is a queen, a leader,
he's
a
the one.
actual leader.
Yeah,
Din is a paladin, a knight. He's the right hand of the leader. He's the
I
go
s-
get
I
'em.
still don't think she's gonna end up being the leader. I think they might try to set it up. I think it ended up not going to be her.
I'm interested to see who it will be, but no matter
Yeah,
what, we are going to get
yeah,
Mandos seeking more Mandos,
yeah.
and not only Mandos seeking more Mandos, but almost just like the Open Seasons comic and a lot of other Mandalorian cultures, we might get Mandos v Mandos. What do I mean by that? Well, the last scene we really get after Bo and everyone go back to Paz. That's where the dirty look he spoke of earlier comes from, where Paz is like, "Hey, hey, she got her helmet off," and the armor is like, "Calm down. I told her to do it. This is for her to unite all of us. We will retake Mandalore this way." She gives this big kind of like speech and a little where she's just telling everyone like, this is the way. This is how we're going to rebuild the Mandalorian people with
Yeah,
Bo walking both worlds.
she says I told her to do that. My first thought, is she gonna take her helmet off too? It's
I
like
thought she would have as well. I thought, oh my god, we're gonna start dropping helmets.
it would be
Uh,
crazy though if we just get like that's her sister survived and that's her
oh my
sister
god, I would lose
was
it.
actually the armor the whole time.
I would lose it, and the whole internet would too. And she didn't go to Obi-Wan.
It's like when
Ugh.
she told her to take her helmet off, it's like sister.
I would. Oh gosh, I would have lost it. But so after that, though, we get back to our good friend, the most intelligent man in all of Star Wars, who's doing more intelligent things,
Yeah,
and he has
he's
now
so he's
found
doing
the
his
shuttle that
yeah.
Moff Gideon was supposed to have been delivered in.
He's retracing the steps. He's actually looking into things where nobody else would. The Republic is terrible,
What?
and he's like, you know what? I'm going beyond. I've been watching the show, and I know something's going on with Gideon, so I'm gonna follow the shuttle's path. And he finds the shuttle, which happens to be a Lambda class shuttle that they're using for prisoner transport, which is insane.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's we get a major drop at the end of that. Speaking of, not
That's the biggest
only
part of it.
is the shuttle broken into, everyone's dead except a missing Gideon. Surprise!
Yep.
But
And
the actual surprise is the Beskar
yep,
that's in there.
Beskar alloy that is found embedded into the ship. So here's the speculation round. Was Moff Gideon saved by super commandos like Gar Saxon, the Mandalorian Imperials, or by a faction of Mandalorians who still think he's the rightful ruler because he was the last holder of the dark
Yeah.
saber and ruler of Mandalore, or Boba Fett trying to kill him and broke him out? I don't see that one as much.
No,
And the
I don't
last
see
the
that
last
one.
thing is it's a bunch of hired mercenary Mandalorians that were just hired to work for the remnant.
I don't see them still rescuing Gideon because of his, because of the Empire and destroying Mandalore.
Yeah.
I think the closest one is since once he took the dark saber, which the last person that we knew that had it was Bo. So I don't know
Mm-hmm.
what happened, but maybe we'll find out later.
Yeah.
That could be part of the when we start focusing on Bo's journey, we see some of how she lost the dark saber
Mm-hmm.
originally and how he got it. Because I'm sure that they're setting it up for him to be antagonist of Bo, which would make sense, really.
Yeah.
Um, so I could see that he once he took the saber, he got himself a squad of Mandalorians to work for him,
Yeah.
similar to how Darth, whatever his name,
Maul.
Maul did with his group of Mandalorians.
Yeah. But yeah, because I mean, just like we've seen in Rebels and a lot of other things, the Mandos will serve whoever is in charge, just as long as they're in charge and they rule like they're in charge.
But and it's happened every time when the they've kind of split from their culture,
Mm-hmm.
because
It leads
the
to a
culture
huge
used,
civil war, but it's a good
yeah,
thing because, like, again, even in open seasons, when the true Mandalorians were taking down Death Watch, the
yeah,
second Mandalorians start this huge civil war where they're just fighting each other, or just a giant war in general. All the other Mandalorians who have been across the galaxy are gonna hear that and be like, "Cool." It's like a beacon almost. It's like a homing
yeah.
beacon for Mandalorians.
I think Gideon will eventually give the Mandalorians a reason to unite because I
Mm-hmm.
think just going back to Mandalore isn't good enough to
Right, they're gonna.
reunite
Well,
them.
yeah, going back to
I think they're
Mandalore
gonna
is
need
just
a
to retake
reason.
the planet. When they see what it's done, then they're like, "Yeah, we got to take down the Empire. These assholes glassed our planet."
Yeah, I think they're gonna need I think the only way they'll really back for a reason to fight. I think Gideon's gonna do something. Who knows? That's going to drive many of the clans that are still remaining to join them, to join Bo.
I wonder if they go back to Mandalore, if the Mythosaur has now busted out of the small new hole in his cavern and is like chilling in the city and has like made that whole city his nest kind of thing, or its nest, and that's how
And
like they come back to it, and it's just like
I
I don't
mean,
know.
previously in the lore, they are not something easy. They were literally a test of strength
Yeah,
for hundreds of Mandalorians. Like they
right.
were not. So it's gonna be a fight. But yeah, I think that because we're getting close to, we don't have many episodes left.
Yeah,
I think we're going to set up. I think there. I mean, I've been wrong on my predictions, but I think this kind of leads up to, because there's so much. I don't want her search for Mandalorians to be a couple episodes.
mm-hmm.
I wanted them to set up for her to have her own season like they did with Book of Boba Fett, of her venturing out, uniting the Mandalorian clans, and where Moff Gideon is essentially, stopping her along the way.
I feel like that's just
Um,
the Mandalorian though, because Din's gonna help. I mean, if the armorer and all of them are going with her, he's gonna be there.
I don't think he's gonna be there.
Why
I
not?
think, I think it's something she's gonna do on her own.
Hmm.
Honestly, I think Din would probably get in the way. How he does with things.
Nah, I think they're gonna all do it like a group front. Like it's gonna become just kind of like a group thing. And
If it does, it
I
would be
see.
another. I just don't. I hope they don't drop it in a couple episodes. What I'm saying, because we don't, like I said, we don't have too many left.
Well, I mean, what else does the Mandalorian have to be about? He could just be with Bo and Grogu is training and they're all learning and stuff. Like it doesn't like as much as it could still end up being about Grogu or all that because
No,
I feel like
I'm not saying that. I'm saying them taking. I don't. I'm saying we only have like a couple episodes left. I don't want them
I
to
gotcha.
condense her journey into a couple episodes. I
Okay.
would much rather have a kind of spin-off season like we did Book of Boba Fett, where he kind of did his race to being the leader of
Mm-hmm.
Mos Eisley, doing that as a kind of a spin-off, and
Okay.
then going and then rejoining back into the next Mandalorian season where she's already reuniting and we go off of that. So I think focusing on her as her own season, I think would be better outright, honestly. I'm not saying that it's not going to cover her as the Mandalorian. I just think the whole journey,
Yeah.
doing it right, would just be focusing on her and her uniting the clans. I think adding Din to that mix will be too distracting.
I highly disagree because she needs Din because he's got the dark saber and Grogu and maybe a mythosaur. Like I don't know who's gonna get that, but Din is the symbol. Din is look. If this crazy child of the Watch can believe in me, you guys can too.
Well, the
And
problem is also Din, depending on the clans you run into, because he's part of the Child of the Watch, you're gonna see him as a crazy fanatic and that,
exactly, and
not supportive.
but he swore his allegiance to Bo, and the armorer did too, and the children of the Watch follow Bo, and Bo's not the crazy one. So that's like that's the bridge. And not to mention, then maybe a few of them are going to challenge him for the dark saber and stuff. So he's going to have to learn how to use it better. And like his goal, since that's the problem, he doesn't have a goal. He doesn't have admiration really, because he doesn't
Yeah.
care about any of this. So what his goal will become is to support Bo, to protect her, and to protect and help Grogu grow as a Mandalorian. Or, yeah, maybe he's just not going to be there at all, and hey, maybe she kicks his butt and takes it.
I don't know. I feel like at this point she's probably just doesn't care about the saber.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. The Mythosaur is definitely her big thing right now,
yeah,
aside from uniting.
the saber isn't as a big part as it kind of is pushed to think it is. Not everybody supports just because you hold the saber. It's more of a lot of the fanatics support that idea.
Mm-hmm. And
Um,
it's always stated, even
yeah,
in the Clone Wars, it's a symbol. It's just usually the
yeah,
strongest. Usually, Mandalore also has that because it's like it's like the Queen of England always has that crown. That is the crown of
yeah. Well,
England.
it's like King Arthur's Excalibur.
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
yeah, it's the idea that just because he has a sword, he's the king, but it doesn't make him king of everything, and not everybody supported him. He had to earn the whole,
Yeah.
you know,
But
get his,
having
yeah,
Excalibur makes you cooler. So it's like,
yeah.
but having the dark saber just makes you that much cooler.
It's still, I think still emotionally, she's still grasping with
Mm-hmm.
everything because we forget not to, and not to bring back, which shows how her emotional state has already been. We go back a couple episodes of her sitting on the throne the way she was.
Mm-hmm.
She's gone through a lot of issues, a lot of problems. She's lost family. She's lost not only blood family, but Mandalorian family.
Yeah.
She's lost her later Mandalore, where they all abandoned her. She was previously considered cursed, so not many people would, because she's famous because she's, essentially the princess.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so there's so much going with her mentally that I think that's why I think it'd be great for to have something focused more on her to see her growth through that.
Mm-hmm.
And if she does end up leading the Mandalorians, which is fine, but if they do, I want to see growth of her character because as it stands right now, I don't think it would make any sense until she actually earns it both because she has to get in that right state of mind. Because besides her, still thinks that she's royalty, so she deserves it. I think she
Yeah.
actually needs to deserve it, both to prove to everyone, but not only to everyone, but to herself.
Right.
I think if they skip that part, I think would really cheapen her character.
Well, and that's a good thing with her having been humble enough to rejoin the Children of the Watch, the
Yeah.
Creed, and stuff like that, is the fact that in a way that kind of does humble her a bit. But yeah, she'll need more of it, and I'm sure she'll get a lot of it reuniting the Mandalorian clans because they're not easy to convince. You have to show them that you're worth it.
Yeah, no, they're very stubborn, and most of them are in hiding
Mm-hmm.
because of the Empire. Just like the original Children of the Watch were when we saw in season one.
But this could
Many,
be really cool too because this means we get a lot more planets. We could go to
yeah,
Duxon, Concordia, Concord Dawn, you know, all kinds of random planets. We could just show up on Nar Shaddaa. Maybe we could get more Nar
yeah.
Shaddaa live action Nar Shaddaa for the first time ever. I don't know why we've never been to Nar Shaddaa before.
It would make sense. It would make more sense that they would be there
Oh,
because
it makes
right
a lot of
now,
sense because the Hutts don't give a damn.
well, right now they're in hiding, and the ones that are when the places they're hiding are places they could probably get work because they can't
Yep.
be out in the open. So it would make less sense that they would be in some of the traditional Mandalorian places because they were hiding from the Empire.
Mm-hmm.
And though the Empire is not around anymore, um, it's still like jumping from being chased after, being hunted after
Yeah.
to now. There's still not enough time for them to have developed a new society.
Man, and
So
now
yeah,
that Navarro looks as good as it does, and apparently there's a Mandalorian settlement. Can we get rid of Batu and replace that with Navarro? Can Navarro be the new Galaxy's Edge theme? Because I would rather go to Navarro than Batu.
yeah. I like that we haven't seen the planet that shall not be named for once. We did see it once this season,
Yeah.
but I'm glad we only got a small glimpse of it.
Yep, we haven't been there for too long. No one's got too much sand in their vagine or
There's one
sandals.
Mandalorian that's on that planet that we know of, and he is doing fine. We
Don't need
don't
to
need
see
to
him. He's good. He's doing his
yeah.
thing. Season 2 of his book. We
I,
can go back
it
there.
is one of my most favorite Star Wars planets. But if they haven't focused more on that planet than Order 66 and Darth Sidious, I swear to God.
Yes, so it's been very refreshing. But like you said, there's only what 3 episodes left.
Yeah, there's not many left. That's what I'm
So
saying. I don't.
don't rush it.
My fear is that they try to do a lot of it in a couple episodes.
Yeah,
I don't want that.
right.
I would much rather immediately go to Din doing some other thing with Grogu and
Mm-hmm.
ending it, and then we get to say, "Hey, Star Wars Celebration, we get Bo in her own season next, either next Mandalorian season or
Or her
her
own little
own."
spinoff. Yeah,
That's what I think.
the Book of Bo.
I think it would be much better to do that where she's doing this whole progression, and then we go back to the next Mandalorian where they're reuniting, and we
Mm-hmm.
leave off with.
Yeah, okay, we already got it. We already got it. No, imagine this: celebrations. It's gonna say Book of Boba Fett, and people are gonna think season 2, and
Oh,
then
Book of Bo.
and then it just drops the Oba Fett Book of Bo, and they're like, ha ha. uh,
Yeah, and then the first it comes in with a helmet, and they're like, "Ha, just kidding," and they're like put on Bo-Katan, and ha, just kidding, and there's a blue face underneath.
gotcha, bitch. It's Thrawn.
Everybody lose their mind, man. If
Oh,
we don't
dude.
see Thrawn in Ahsoka, oh my god.
Yeah, I can't wait for whatever they're gonna give. Any news on Ahsoka is gonna be so well taken and received.
I think
And the
we'll
acolyte,
we
acolyte,
definitely will see Ahsoka. We'll definitely see Skeleton Crew.
the High Republic
Hopefully, we'll
panels.
see.
I'm
I
gonna be
doubt we'll see
all over
much
those
from.
High Republic panels.
I want to be wrong on this, but I doubt we'll see much of Acolyte. I want to definitely be wrong. I hope we see a lot of Acolyte.
Yeah.
I know I sent you that the interview. They interviewed one of
Hmm.
the actors from
Loved
uh,
it, loved it. Again, like I said,
Acolyte. Yeah.
she looks like a better Snoke because she's wearing like the same kind of like pleated gold dress.
I like how she's like you have a lightsaber or
He's like,
whatever. She's like,
I did not fight with a lightsaber.
yeah, she's like so vague about it, but she's like, you know,
Yeah.
He's definitely not the Spider-Man's
Yeah, it's not Tom
that
Holland.
yes, it immediately tells everything.
Right, you gotta watch out with Tom Holland. There's no Tom Hollands in the Star Wars universe. It's not allowed.
Well, it's funny they were eventually just get used to he's gonna give it away anyways. They just used him to promote
Yeah,
stuff.
right.
But
But yeah, guys. Okay, so before we get too far off, thank you all so much for dropping by. This has been an absolutely stellar week for Star Wars, and it's only going to keep getting better. Next week, the big thing is a release coming up on April 4th for the new High Republic book, Cataclysm. I'm excited for that one. There will, of course, will be a book review coming out, like with all the other ones. We have Jedi Battle Scars coming out soon, too, so that's going to be awesome. A lot of amazing things getting ready to happen, and of course, Celebrations is right around the corner.
and two new shows coming
Yep.
on May the 4th as well, which is
Yeah.
the first High Republic show, the Star Wars Younglings, and then the Star Wars Vision season 2. So
So excited.
not canon with Visions, but still awesome to see all the artwork and the
Yes.
cool alternate designs or kind of a what if scenarios that they do with those. So it's very exciting. Also, the figures that they come out from those are pretty cool. So
Yeah. So guys, thank you all so much for stopping by. Don't forget to go down and comment what you're most excited for Star Wars Celebration. Like the video so I can know that you enjoyed this one, and share so that the community will continue to grow. Thank you all. Have an amazing rest of your night. And as always, may the Force serve you well.
may the force be with you.